So, today we're going to come up with a solution for the number one reason why you're not exercising. The number one reason why Americans don't exercise is because they say they don't have enough time. Not enough time is the biggest reason why people aren't having the time, making the time to exercise. So, in this short video, I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can create more time to get your exercise in. Okay, so just like with money, you want to be budgeting your time. And in order to budget your time effectively, you need to know what you're working with. You need to know, how much time do I have? We all have the same amount of time, but you know what I mean. How much time do I have? And how am I utilizing that time in the best way? So what that would take, just like if you were creating a money budget, you're going to be creating a time budget, a time schedule. You're just going to, no stress, just sort of jot down in a notebook what you're doing hour by hour, day by day, what time you're waking up, and all of the activities maybe in 30-minute increments, so that we can get an idea of how you're utilizing your time. And for a lot of people, this can be really eye-opening. Maybe you have little pockets of time that you didn't realize you had. Maybe you realize that you're so stretched thin that it's kind of crazy and we're going to have to be making some changes. But in order to do anything, first you really need to map out what kind of time you're working with and how you're spending your time. And the only way you can do that is to take at least one full week, a full Monday to Sunday, and just keep it in a notebook, how you've spent your day and what you've done, your grocery trips, your run-ins to the store, your streaming time, watching a movie, any kind of activities that you're doing, and you just have sort of an idea of how you've been spending your time, what we're going to be working with. And after you've spent that 1 week sort of getting a map of your time, you're going to sit down on that, say, Sunday, and you're going to write out what you've spent, the time that's been spent in activities and exercise. You're going to sort of map that out of what you've done that week. And you're going to write down, I did 3 30-minute walks and I did 2 15-minute strength training sessions this week. And that was all I had time for. And that's great. So you would write that in, and you would then sort of also be looking at your weekly schedule. You have what you did for the week, you have your exercise that you did that week, and then you want to sit for a little bit and you want to say, what is my bare minimum? Meaning, where's my line in the sand of how little exercise I'm willing to get? Is it 3 30-minute walks a day, 3 30-minute walks a week, and 2 15-minute strength training sessions? Is it your class at the gym 2 days a week and 1 cardio session at home? Like, what is your bare minimum? Like, this is the least amount that I'm willing to do. And then think about, what ideally would you like to be doing? Would you like to be doing an hour every day of exercise, or something you enjoy doing? And you want to sort of think about that. Like, how much time do you want to be spending on exercise a week if you were doing something you enjoyed doing? So you have your weekly schedule, you have what you are doing, and then your bare minimum, and then how would you like to be exercising right now? So after you have all of that information, if you really wanted to be working out for 45 minutes to an hour every day, where would that fit into your weekly schedule? You might find little pockets of time that can be nudged. You might find pockets of time where you're not doing something really important, Or you might find that your streaming time or your listening to a podcast time, that you could actually be exercising during that time, right? So going out for an hour walk while you're listening to your favorite podcast, instead of listening to your favorite podcast and just sort of like scrolling through something on your phone at the same time. So utilizing something that you really like and stacking that with exercise can be a really great match. Doing some cardio on a machine while you're watching a show instead of just watching a show and, hanging out on the couch. So there's going to be ways like that you can make a trade-off and maybe stack an exercise with something passive that you did before that maybe you're willing to match them up so that you're getting some activity exercise in at the same time. Now, I know that as a parent, especially, sometimes it can feel like, I'm a mother, and I know that sometimes it can feel like you're kind of like glued, especially summer just ended, and I have a 10-year-old and a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, he's not driving yet, and sometimes it feels like there's less time there that I can work with because I've got sort of younger-ish kids, especially one younger kid at home. But we started doing local hikes together during the week, and they both like it. So once or twice a week, I would take them we'd find a trail and we would go on a hike together. Someplace new, out of the way kind of place, like, hey, I found a hike, and would go and would do it. We have sort of a tried and true hike we also do right up the road where I'll be like, come on, we'll go run some errands and we're going to stop and do that hour hike together. And so I utilized that, and I took them as sort of like as an example of just fitting activity and exercise into your day-to-day so that you're managing to get it in, because those are habits they're going to want to also be taking part in, right? So they're going to have to, as they grow, find ways to stay active and be like, oh, when I go to the grocery store, sometimes I can find a little hike to do, and I can get a little activity and exercise in my day. I just have to be mindful of that, right? So hikes, or we'll get on the bikes and we'll do a couple laps around the neighborhood on the bikes, or that kind of stuff, just to keep going and not feeling like if you have young kids, you're not going to be able to get out there and do the exercise. And I'll tell you, it does get easier as they get older. I think when they were smaller, it was a little bit harder. When you have a toddler, it's hard to exercise when they're like needy and all that stuff. So I feel for that phase, but I would go and exercise at home with my toddler when they were younger too. And it's good for them to see you exercising, and it's okay if the workout isn't perfect. It's okay if they interrupt you because they want something, and for you to get back in and just finish what you were doing before, and not feel like it has to be this perfect experience for it to work. And let them just watch you. I would just tell my kids, hey, I'm going to go exercise real quick. I'll be done in 30 minutes. And they're like, okay. Play nicely with each other, and it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. So you can't always do that. And then one of the main reasons that we exercise, even though we may not realize it, is so that we can live longer and live healthier. And so if you think of your exercise as an investment in yourself, in your health as you get older, I think that's a really great way to prioritize it. It's kind of like setting money aside for retirement. If you every day, every week, every month, you're putting a percentage of your income into a retirement account, then the idea is that at someday in the future, you're going to be able to retire and reap all the benefits of all that work that you did. And I think that if you keep that perspective in your mind, that comparison with exercise and investing, I think they are very similar. They have a lot in common. If you don't start putting money in a retirement account until you're 65, you're going to be in trouble, and you're not going to have all of the comforts that you want to have maybe when you're older. But if you set aside a little bit of your paycheck every month, then the idea is that you reap the rewards. And exercise is the same way. You want to be adding that time in to your exercise account so that when you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s, you can go and have a great healthy golden years and go travel and explore and hike and do everything that you want to do, and not be stuck on the couch with no health. And that's sad. So that's my advice to you. So it takes effort. Sit down and scan out your week and find pockets of time that are underutilized. If you feel like you really are stretched for time, I'm going to challenge you and say there's probably times in there where you're listening to a podcast or you're streaming something, and then you're scrolling while you're listening. Just go and do some exercise instead. Put some earbuds in and go outside and just go get a 30-minute brisk walk in instead of chilling or just scrolling. And then come up with your bare minimum, right? What is the bare minimum? Like every week, bare minimum is a 20-minute walk and 20 minutes of strength training or something along those lines. And then you have to do it. You have to initiate it and move forward. And think of it as a retirement account, except it's your health. Instead of putting pennies aside and seeing them grow, you're using your body, you're maintaining muscle, you're helping your brain with exercise. And so then the idea is that as you get older, you're not aging the same way you would if you were a couch potato and not taking some initiative and exercising. So that's it. That's all I want to say to you tonight. Just a little bit of motivation for upping the game a little bit in your exercise in a way that you can stay consistent. And my name is June Melia. I've been a personal trainer for 25 years, and I would love to hear any tips you have below. And what do you like to do? What's your bare minimum for exercise? How do you make sure that you get your exercise in every day? Does it come naturally to you, or is it a challenge? Okay, that's it for now. I hope you post below. I'd love to hear your ideas, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.